Hello everyone, my name is UltimoFive and today we are going over the Euphona Prime, the Harmonic Blaster. Euphona Prime is a standalone Prime secondary shotgun that was released alongside Banshee Prime. In order to obtain the Euphona Prime, one must open a variety of relics that contain the blueprint, receiver, and barrel in order to make it at the foundry. Requires a mastery rank of 8, comes with 3 V polarity slots plus a V auxilis slot, and because of this, the builds on this weapon will require 2 to 3 forma. Excels in close to medium range combat, dealing with slightly high leveled enemies of all factions against single targets and small crowds. And the Euphona Prime has an alternative fire which when used shoots wider spread shots as a buckshot, meanwhile the weapon's primary shot is a slug used for longer range. Advantages for the weapon's primary shot would be that it has a very high critical chance, a high critical multiplier, and pinpoint accuracy while aiming. Advantages for its alternative fire would be that it has a very high status chance, and an innate multi-shot of 10 pellets. Disadvantages, however, for the weapon's primary shot would be that it has an extremely low status chance, and projectiles have travel time. Disadvantages for the weapon's alternative fire would be that it has an extremely low critical chance, and a linear damage fall-off. Disadvantages overall for the weapon would be that it has a low magazine size, a slow reload speed, and very low ammo reserves. The elements for the Euphona Prime against the Corpus will be viral electricity. Electricity stuns a target for 3 seconds and deals 50% base damage per second for 6 seconds. The build's flex slots are Lethal Torrent or Convulsion and works very well against all enemies on the Corpus side. The only real exception is that the weapon doesn't perform as well against robotic enemies, in which instead of taking 1 to 2 shots to kill, it can take 2 to 3 shots. Other than that, the weapon performs great against the Corpus. The elements for the Euphona Prime against the corrupting Grineer will be Viral Slash. Viral amplifies health damage by 100% for 6 seconds and stacks up to 10 times to a total of 325%. Meanwhile, Slash's status effect is Bleed, and after 1 second it deals 35% of the base damage per second for 6 seconds, which bypasses armor. The build's flex slots are Lethal Torrent or Carnage Stinger and works surprisingly well against small squads of the corrupting Grineer. This is mainly due to the weapon's Buckshot applying tons of slash and viral procs to just bleed through enemy armor with ease. The elements for the Euphona Prime against the Infested will be either gas or viral heat. Gas deals 50% base damage per second for 6 seconds in a 3 meter radius and stacks up to 10 times to a total of 6 meters. The build's flex slots are primed heated charge or lethal torrent, and both elemental sets work very well, except with gas coming on top due to it being able to take out swarms of enemies. Essentially, viral is more useful for smaller groups of infested enemies in missions such as extermination, while gas is good in endless missions. The elements for the slugshot focus build of the Euphona Prime follows viral electricity for the Corpus, viral for the corrupting Grineer, and corrosive or viral heat for the Infested. The flex slot for the Corpus will be Convulsion, Carnage Stinger for the corrupting Grineer, and primed heated charge for the Infested. These builds are made for those who want to use both fires of the Euphona Prime and not just use a buckshot alternative fire like the other builds. However, these builds aren't as strong as the previous builds and should really only be taken into non-steel path missions and against level 130 or under enemies. Prime Pistol Ammo Mutation in place of Lethal Momentum in order to help with the weapon's poor ammo reserves. However, this will cost 1 to 2 more forma. Hornet Strike in place of Galvanized Shot if one doesn't have access to the mod through arbitration or doesn't have it. This also will mean that the player will need an extra V polarity slot instead of a D polarity slot. Barrel Diffusion in place of Galvanized Diffusion if one doesn't have access to the mod through arbitration or doesn't have it. Target Cracker, Pistol Gambit, Heated Charge, and Expel faction mods in place of their primed counterparts if one doesn't have them. Maim or Razor Shot in place of Carnage Stinger if one doesn't have it. Magnum Force in place of the build's Expel faction mod if one doesn't like using faction mods. And Ice Storm in place of Frostbite if one would like more rounds in their magazine and are okay with sacrificing some cold damage and status chance. There are several ways to enhance critical stats and damage for this weapon. For instance, for damage, Rhino's Roar, Nova's Molecular Prime which makes all sources of damage increase by 100% against primed enemies, Saren's Toxic Lash mixed with her Spores abilities, Mirage's Eclipse adds a massive damage bonus during the day or in light, Equinox's Rest and Rage in day form makes targets more vulnerable to damage, Banshee's Sonar which gives a huge damage multiplier, and Chroma's Vex Armor when health gets damage increases weapon damage. For critical stats, Haro's Covenant can add up to 50% critical chance and 200% on headshots. Urali's passive increases critical chance by 200% after moving around for at least 1.5 seconds. Theodar's Kavat with Cat's Eye can give a 60% critical chance boost, and Smita Kavat with Charm can give a 200% crit chance. Arcane Precision, on headshot 100% chance for 300% damage of pistols for 18 seconds. Arcane Awakening, on reload 60% chance for 150% damage of pistols for 24 seconds. Arcane Avenger, upon getting hit 21% chance for 45% critical chance for 12 seconds. Arcane Arachne, upon wall latch 150% damage for 30 seconds. Secondary Merciless, on kill 30% damage for 12 seconds, which stacks up to 4 times and comes with 30% reload speed and 100% max ammo. And Secondary Dexterity, on melee kill 60% damage for 20 seconds, which stacks up to 6 times and comes with 7.5 second combo duration and 60% holstering speed. This arcane is much easier to maintain over Secondary Merciless, but it comes with fewer advantages over Merciless as well. When you get your hands on a Riven for this weapon, the flex slot to replace will be what was previously discussed before. This may require 1 to 2 more Forma, and in order to maximize damage output with the Euphona Prime, one will need to get lucky and get some nice stats. My ideal stats would be multi-shot, critical damage, critical chance, and negative zoom or weapon recoil. Thanks for watching. If you want to see more guides in Warframe, please click the like and sub buttons and let me know. And as per usual, I will see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.